Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified zentangle teacher. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Zen, where I guide you through creating a little piece of art using the zentangle method of drawing. Today I'm using a micron PN or plastic nib pen, a graphite pencil for shading, and a tortillon for blending. I'm also using a 2" by 2" zentangle tile called the Bijou. Today we're creating a hibiscus flower with printemps inside. All right, I'm going to start with my pencil and I'm going to draw the flower shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the style, which is looks kind of like a little stem that comes out of the middle of the flower. So I want that to start about the center of the tile, and it's just going to curve up like that, drawing it nice and light. Then I can work on the petals of the flower. A hibiscus flower has beautiful petals with lots of ridges on the edges, but to create mine, I'm simplifying a little bit and doing more of just a soft heart shape. So I'm going to start down here at the corner, and I want to fill in most of this corner with my petal. So I'm making kind of that loose heart shape. My next petal is going to come out from the side of this and be another loose heart. I want to try to fit at least 3 more around here. Again, filling up my tile as much as I can. And another one. And my last one. Okay, now you can step back and look at it, see if you want to make any changes. This petal right here I feel like needs to be a little bit different. Okay, once you're done with that, go ahead and pick up your pen. And the first thing I'm going to do with my pen is I'm going to ink in the style. I'm not so worried about tracing the exact lines as I am about just getting that general shape. Not worried about tracing. And each one of these comes right back to the center. If you have a petal that crosses behind the style, just pick up your pen and come out the other side. All right. Now, hibiscus flower has a really deep center. So I'm going to add just some little flicks of black around that center just to sort of give that depth that it's going down deep in there. And I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to put a line in each petal. But to make this line, I'm going to push down hard and then lift my pen as I flick it out. So push down hard and flick it out and lift your pen as you go so the edge becomes really light and thin. I'm also adding a little bit of curve to these flicks to give the petal a little bit of dimension. This one's trickier because it's behind the style and maybe comes up around there. I'm going to add 2 smaller flicks, one on each side of that petal. You can practice this on a piece of scrap paper first if you'd like to get the feel of it. Just like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the outer edge of the petals. So I'm going to start with this big petal here, and I'm going to come up towards the corner, and I'm going to flick and curve a little bit, just like that. I start right on the line, and I do a flick with a little bit of a curve. I'm not going to overthink it. This is just adding a touch of detail. Look at how it's already getting like a little bit of a curve to it. And we didn't even do any shading yet. Remember to go around that style. Just want to make sure that your flick starts right on the line. If not, make sure that you connect it. And on these outer flicks, I'm going to just weigh them down a tiny bit by adding a triangular shape bit of ink in there. Look at how much that changes the look of those flicks. So a tiny bit of ink at the edges makes such a difference. Couple more. If your petals are large and you've got extra space, you're welcome to do a flick in the middle also, but that's not necessary. I think I'm just going to do that. All right, at the top of my style is these little things that come out, and they have something called stigma on the end, and your stigma can be open or you can color them in. And I'm putting them kind of randomly around here because I don't want it to look too intentional. All right, just like that. And if they overlap your petals a little bit, that is okay. All right, I'm going to switch to my graphite pencil. So typically when we do Zentangle, we do the whole thing in pen. This is a really cool technique, and I cannot think of the name of it, but this technique of drawing the bold lines and then putting something lighter on the inside. So I'm going to take my graphite pencil, and I'm going to do something called print-on. In print-on, we start with a little dot, and then we draw from that dot and we aura around a couple of times. I'm just going to aura until I meet the edges. I'm doing it very, very light. Then I'm going to pick another spot on the petal, and I'm going to start auraing. And as I reach the other print-on, I'm going to lift my pen. Imagine coming out the other side. Now I've hit the edge of a petal, so lift my pencil, come up the other side. And I'm going to actually continue this around because I've got this empty space over here. So just like that. Same thing over here. Start with a dot. It does not have to be centered in the area. Pick up my pencil, come out the other side. I've got leftover space here, so I'm just going to aura that one. Doing this nice and light. You only need 2 or 3 or 4 in each one. You don't have to spend a lot of time being very particular about it. It's just a really pretty and subtle background. Getting that muscle memory going, being careful to lift your pencil at each edge. Right here, I've got a lot of space left. I'm going to sneak in another one. And as I'm doing this, my wrist is resting on the table. And I'm only moving my hand. keeps me a little more stable. Now right here I've got a space, but probably not big enough for a print on, so I'm just going to aura the one that's furthest behind. So this one back here is kind of behind this one. I'm gonna aura it a couple times as if it was still going. One more petal. Oh, I forgot about my petal sticking out on that side. Okay. Just kind of filling that space in like that. Okay, now I'm going to take my graphite pencil and do a little bit of shading. That was such a quick tangle, it's so fun to make. I'm going to start with this very first petal, and it overlaps the petal to the right. So I'm going to put in some graphite along that edge as if it's creating a shadow. And then this petal overlaps the one to the right. So put a little bit of shading over there. This one overlaps this one. This petal overlaps over here. And then my last petal was actually behind two petals. So I go back to that first petal and I'm going to put the shade on the outside of that petal where it goes over that last one. Okay. I'm also going to add a little bit of graphite in the middle where I put that ink down. So I want that to look kind of deep. Pick up my tortillon for blending. I start with that first petal, I go to the outside edge, and I just soften that a little bit. Go to the next edge, soften it a little bit. Use kind of a circular motion or a little bit of a flicking motion. I love how some of the tangles kind of start to disappear in there. So pretty. And then from the center, I'm just going to flick out a little bit. Like that. I'm going to pick up my graphite pencil again, and I'm going to do a little bit on these outer edges, just to kind of give it the illusion that they're tipping backwards away from the light a little bit. Not heavy, just a little, and I'm just going to smudge those a tiny bit. See how they look like they're kind of dipping away from the sun. And then for the style, my style kind of looks like a big bright spot in my flower. So I'm going to take my tortillon, it already has some graphite on it, and I'm just going to put it on that bottom half. Maybe there's a tiny bit of shading there. And then also on the style, each side, the style is coming up and crossing over my petals and probably creating a little shadow. So I'm going to put some graphite on both sides of that and soften that a little bit. It's so pretty. And as a final touch, I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to aura around these petals really close. And when I get to that style, I'm just going to stop, pick it up on the other side. Just like that. Initial your work. And then I always flip my tile over. On the back, I write the date. I write the name of what I made. And then I also write a one-line journal entry of something going on in my life. The reason I created this hibiscus is because my 18-year-old son just left for Hawaii for 3 months, and I was feeling kind of inspired to make something a little more Hawaiian. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed it. Please follow me. Please subscribe. Please share your work. I'd love to see what you've been doing. Thank you so much.